Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Today we will be presenting our project for brutal assignment, which is about a Trojan horse attack demonstration. These are my group members, and in this presentation we will demonstrate how a Trojan horse can be used to breach a computer network in a controlled environment for educational purposes. We will explain the tools used, show the demonstration steps, and discuss the impact and conclusion at the end.
Introduction to Trojan horse attack. A Trojan horse is a type of malware that disguises itself as a legitimate file or application. When executed by the victim, it provides unauthorized access to the attacker. Objective of this demonstration is to show how a Trojan horse can be used to breach a computer network and gain remote access to a victim system using Metasploit tools in a control lab environment. Tools and environment use: Kali Linux for attacker machine, Windows OS for victim machine, and Metasploit framework and Brutal toolkit. Network connectivity verification, ping test. Before launching the attacker, a ping test was performed to verify network connectivity between the attacker and victim machine. The successful replies indicate that the target system is reachable and communication between both machines is possible. We perform the ping test before exploitation to confirm that the attacker and victim machine can communicate. This avoids connection failure during payload execution.
In this step, the Brutal toolkit was set up in a controlled Kali Linux environment. Kali Linux is widely used for cybersecurity education and penetration testing because it includes many security testing tools by default. The purpose of installing this toolkit is strictly for learning and demonstration to understand how attackers create malicious tools so that defenders can better detect and prevent them. This toolkit simulates Trojan horse behavior, allowing us to study how malware is prepared before being deployed without targeting real system or users. After the toolkit was successfully installed, the next step involved generating a payload. A payload refers to the part of malicious software that performs the main action once executed. In this demonstration, payload generation was configured to simulate a reverse connection, which is a common technique used by attackers to regain access to a compromised system. Network parameters such as the listener address and port were defined only within a test environment. This helped us understand how attackers maintain control and, more importantly, how security systems can detect unusual outbound connection. This slide shows the payload code generated by the toolkit. The code appears long and complex because it is often obfuscated to avoid detection by antivirus software. Attackers commonly use such technique to hide malicious intent, making malware analysis more difficult. From a defensive perspective, examining generated payloads helps cybersecurity professionals improve detection mechanism, develop better intrusion prevention system, and strengthen endpoint security against Trojan-based attack. Overall, this demonstration highlights how malware is prepared at a high level, reinforcing the importance of ethical hacking, control environments, and strong defensive security practice.
Launching Metasploit console. In our controller environment, we're launching the Metasploit framework to manage payload handling and monitor incoming connections. This demo is for defensive awareness and authorized testing only. From Kali, I start Metasploit with MSF console. You'll notice a database connection warning. That's fine for this demo. Metasploit can operate without the PostgreSDB for our handler use case. Metasploit provides modules for exploits, payloads, and post-exploitation. Today we're focusing on the multi-or handler to observe how reverse connection work. Setting up multi-handler. Next, we configure a multi-handler. Think of it as a listener that waits for a payload to call back, so we can study that behavior safely. I run use exploit or multi or handler and set the payload to Windows Meterpreter reverse underscore TCP. The handler is not an exploit by itself, it simply waits for a connection. We align the listener's L-host and L-port with the payload settings. Correct alignment is essential for communication. Listener configuration. Now we set the listener IP and port to match the payload. I set L-host to 172.20.113.226 and L-port to 4444. At practice, L-host is the machine that will receive the reverse connection and L-port is the socket we keep open. If these values don't match the payload configuration, the connection won't be established. Always verify IP reachability and that the port isn't already in use. Exploiting and receiving connection. We start the handler and attempt to accept incoming connections. When I run exploit J, Metasploit tries to bind to L-host and L-port. The error address already in use indicates something else is using the port. If a port bind fails, either free the port or choose a different one. For example, 5555 or 7777. Port conflicts are common in labs, so quick troubleshooting keeps the demo smooth. Gaining access to victim system. With the handler listening and the payload executed in our consented test machine, a Meterpreter session appears. We see session listing and active Meterpreter x86. Windows connection, L-port L-host to L-port L-host from another PC. I interact with the session -I. If the active session is 1, we choose 1. If the active session 2, we choose 2. But in this case, we choose 1 because the active session is 1 to observe system metadata. This is a content environment used to understand attacker behavior so we can strengthen defenses. Never perform this action outside authorized testing.
With the session active, we move to the data exfiltration phase. We navigated through the victim's internal folders and found sensitive information, including forensic documents and backup. Most importantly, we demonstrated the ability to monitor the user visually. By executing the screenshot command, we successfully exfiltrated their entire visual history and current desktop view. This image, now on our Kali machine, proved that the victim's privacy and data have been completely compromised.
Impact of Trojan horse attacks. Here's why Trojan matter from a defense perspective. Unauthorized access. Attackers can gain remote control without the user's awareness, enabling command, execution, and persistence. Data thief. Credentials, documents, and system details can be exfiltrated, leading to privacy breaches and lateral movement. System misuse. Compromised hosts may become launchpad for further attacks, botnet participation, or internal reconnaissance. So, conclusion, this lab demonstrates how a Trojan can create a reverse connection that tools like Metasploit handle, giving insight into real attacker workflows. Security lessons, weak practice, running unknown files, outdated defenses, poor network segmentation, create easy openings. Preventive measures, harden endpoints with updated AV or EDR, enforce least privilege, segment network, monitor outbound connections, and educate users to avoid suspicious files. Regularly test in authorized labs to validate your defenses.
That's all from us. Thank you.